All right, so we're gonna pick up where we left off, which is going to be mounting these recessed brackets in. So there is a gap here because of the framing we're dealing with and the dual roller floor plot, but this is going to be the room side, and this is going to be our window side, and our shades will actually mount from the room side. So we'll tuck these into here, we'll butt them up. This will keep us nice and lined up, and then we're gonna mount into the framing. Sorry, I don't know if that was on camera, so I'll just start over. All right, guys, so we're back. We've got our mounts, we've got our pocket installed, no pocket flap yet. So these are our dual brackets. That is going to be facing room side. This will be window side. So there's gonna be a slight gap between the window and the bracket. You don't want metal and glass. And it's going to kind of start to fill out this track here. So they're going to be mounted, like said, on the inside. I do have a camera angle from underneath. I'm wearing a headlamp. Hopefully it'll be lit up enough. And we'll go ahead and knock this out really quick. All right, so I'm going to need 8 tappers for this. This is not a 2-screw bracket. Actually, I do recommend every Lutron bracket. I like putting at least 3 screws. Given the fact that this shade is only like 2.5 feet, we did use just 2 mounted to the surface, but typically I'll go ahead and tap a side 2 just to make sure it's secure. I'll actually jump over and do that now, because if not, I'm gonna think about it forever. I like 3 points of contact in any very structurally sound build. Okay, that's done. I feel better about myself now. Okay, let's go ahead and get these brackets. This is gonna be a long video, guys. I'm sorry. We're breaking down every step. This is also like the most tedious Lutron shade installation that can be done. I am going to whack that camera. So left and right figures itself out when you realize that this has to be towards a room. So obviously this has to be my left side bracket. So we'll start there. Now thankfully, this bracket is a big square in its own right. So we won't need any really secondary tools to mount this, nor will I need a metal punch or anything like that, since I'm just drilling self-tappers into the wood on the side. Now you can imagine if you're 12, 14 feet in the air, this gets complicated pretty quick. Repeat the same process. Since everything is squared, this really bumps adjust. As long as you got the previous steps right, there's really no way for this step not to turn out square. So just pay your dues, measure twice when you need to. All right, so now that's both of our brackets in, as well as our fascia cover, pocket. So as you guys can see, watching at home, there's a gap here, right? So I'm gonna bring my wires on this left side here, through that hole, and then we're going to bring our extra wiring through this gap here, have both of our terminal blocks, so that way at the end, we can actually hide our wire nicely. So we'll take our 4-conductor Lutron wire here. Gonna snip our zip ties. I'll re-zip tie it, make it look really nice later like we did with the other shade, so I can do a display video kind of showing off this whole build. Gonna roll out these strands. Again, it's not too important right now, but we'll bring both of our wires into our wire hole here. Again, theoretically they'd want a 3/4 size hole, but as you saw, 2 of them will fit into it. All right, so this right here is our wire from outside that's actually not going to be in the enclosure. It just looks like that for some reason at the moment. All right, so we'll go ahead and grab our 2 Phoenix ends, and we're going to wire all 4 of these up. So I'll bring this over here to show you pins 1 through 4 on these receivers. This is really simple. 1 is always going to be your black wire, 2 red, 3 white, and 4 will be violet or blue. I've even seen some like knockoff Lutron brands have this as a green, but again, negative, positive, white communication, and your 4th communication, whether that's violet, blue, or green. All right, into both receivers. So we're gonna strip that back and terminate it the way you would like any speaker or low voltage termination. And then we'll tuck those up into our pockets and pull them back out when it's time for the shade. I'm going to dip the tool belt because I'm just dragging my tools across my carpet and the lumber here. All right, so we're gonna pull these through more than I need at the beginning, just to make this easier. All right, so get rid of this yarn string pull line thing. Okay. Break your shielding off of your comm wires. And this is what helps protect these. So I like twisting up that shielding, and then you can just get right in next to it and snip it clean. Here was what I was talking about. So inside that shielded wire is the sink drain, right? You can go ahead and see this is a white and blue. It's not even, well, white and blue and then actual purple, right? So depending on the wire you buy, if it's not Lutron brand proper, it may look a little different. So anyway, we're gonna strip these out now. just pay attention. The power channels, the red and black, are actually thicker than the comm wires. So make sure that if you do the comm wires first, you don't then strip off a bunch of the power copper by jumping the gun on that. Now I'm going to use, I love that they send you these, sorry about blinding you, a Lutron brand Phillips that actually fits these harnesses perfectly. So not sure what the best viewing angle is on this, but if you can remember, they're already loosened. So if you flip it numbers facing up, it's going to be easier to get your wires in. And remember what I said before, you don't want copper hanging out the back, but when you're looking at the connection, you should visibly see some copper up right at the terminal block. Because what you don't want to have happen, two things. You don't want to leave so much copper exposed that then you have a short, but you don't want to, try and make it look so clean up here at the harness point that you actually just end up grabbing the sleeving and not the copper with this bracket. Remember, so we did black in 1, red in 2, and I don't like the way the red one's seated, so just take your time here. It's so annoying to come back and rip apart everything because you didn't double check. Yeah, okay, so that can happen as you're tightening a Phoenix clip. You can kind of push the copper out sometimes. We're finally getting to the good stuff, guys. It's time to bust out our shades and show how easy, now that the hard work has been done, it is to assemble. So this changes from job to job, but for almost every job, your blackout in a dual roller configuration will go above the shear, which is what we'll be doing here today. So I know how I talked about not wanting to remove the plastic until the shades are done. Well, that gets really hard with these dual rollers. So for this blackout, we're going to have to expose the fabric. This is pretty exclusive to dual rollers. So, something I do want to say is, so we need to put the hem bars on. So maybe I can get a close up of that. For some reason, the hem bars weren't on this shade. So as you can see, the shade will mount this way and drop into the room. So we're gonna have the L and Lutron facing down, and we'll get our hem bar cap in. Otherwise, like you may have just saw, without an end cap, your metal hem bar that weights the shade so that it looks nice, will be able to slide out when not blocked by the mount. Okay, so we will need a small Phillips or a small hex bit. I am going to, sorry, I said Phillips. I meant flathead. So we're gonna, whoops. Well, I don't know where my tiny flathead went. Okay. So we're just gonna keep rolling, so I'm not wasting time, but, oh, there it is. Perfect. anything low torque, this little guy is awesome. Anything real world that actually needs a bunch of torque, this is a horrible, these multi-tools are horrible to use. But for what I'm doing here, for sensitive low volt product, it's perfect. Okay, so there's a hook on the top, right? It's clearly accessible. That's gonna clip on just like a hanger essentially. Very tight fit. Okay. So that's something I've never seen before. So I'm not using the standard Lutron hardware. So what I believe just happened is that my hex screws stick out just proud. So we're gonna pull these bottom screws so I can get my shade into place, and then we're gonna reinstall them. That's not typical. I tried my best to match the Lutron hardware. Number 8 1/4" bit head, but obstacles happen. All right. Okay, so we'll get our cleat on one place, get our cleat on in the other. Make sure that you don't pinch your wire. Really be careful of that. Any of them. The wires built onto the shade, as well as the wires that you brought into the enclosure. Just make sure I've got nothing caught up. Great, and we'll tack our other 2 screws in. So again, if you're using Lutron provided hardware, that just shows how precise all these fits are, right? Like when we built this frame to an 1/8" specification, they meant it. That's the hardest thing with Lutron, is you've got to be bulletproof with your measurements up front. And as you can see, we did confirm that our blackout is in fact a white blackout, so it doesn't have to be a black fabric. Common misconception I run into. So, now that we've got this set up, what we're going to do is, I'm actually going to need to mark my wires. It's not too important. This is just, if you're installing in the field, you're doing a dual roller, you should know which shade is which. So we're gonna treat it like that, and this will be wire number 1. Okay, so on this Phoenix connection, I'm just gonna write a 1. Okay, and then on this wire, write a 1, write a 2. Mundane and not needing an explanation, but write a 2. Okay, so hopefully this camera can see it, but what we're going to do is take our factory wiring, like you saw on the Sivoia QS, and we're going to tuck that Okay, so what we're gonna do is actually use the hex driver so I can keep moving. Sorry guys. Huh. This is hilarious. All right. So this happens on installs. I'm running into another hardware issue up here. And that is the screw on the top left is keeping this shade from going in now properly. So what we're going to do at this point is drop our shade again. Okay. And this is the point where I would use the mount on the back of the fabric. I mean the back of the mount to anchor into the wood frame, but unfortunately for this install, we're gonna have to leave this out because we were missing our channel altogether. So the shade wasn't going to properly lock into position. Okay. All right. So we'll get our two bottoms in now again. And this shade will hold with three. I mean, if you can imagine three 2-inch self-tappers going all the way through framing would be fine. Okay. So that's certified in there. Kind of what it is my bit's too long, but since the back of this has some give, we're just going to utilize that. Otherwise, my little tiny Milwaukee with a smaller bit would have been perfect for this. Okay. So the shade's in for the third time. All right. We're going to pull our connector cables for wireless and wired comm down into the box. Now this is, I wouldn't say annoying, but a pretty tedious part. Probably the most tedious part of wiring for this is the blind harness mount. Okay, so I've got my 1 and 2. So we're going to take our 1, and again, if you're doing this setup at home, it doesn't matter because you pair it to the Pico afterwards. But as you can imagine, this is kind of a pain to. All right, changing plans. So I know that this is how they recommend doing it. We're going to make this connection outside of here where I can actually grab the dongle, and then we'll tuck it in. I'm just confirming 1-to-1 here. All right. Now I also have the luxury of being able to get rid of a lot of this extra wire. Okay, so let's pull. All right, and the reason why I'm being so cautious and careful up there is literally because I don't want to scratch our blackout fabric. It actually came dented. I've seen that happen in the field a couple times. I would not freak out. What I would do is give the shade a day or two to set. If you notice a scratch, let your installer know right away. So if there was anything in the box that even the foam can push up against the fabric weird, and create some sort of indent. So don't panic if you just got your shade and there's a crease or a little dent. Give it a couple days, the fabric will set in. Otherwise Lutron will fix it. So, all right, here's our shear, and same thing. I don't like unwrapping the shades before install like this, but we have to for these dual rollers. Okay. So this should be fairly simple. Getting this one in here. You do have an idler side, so mount your idler side first, unlike I just did, so you don't have to deal with this spinny nonsense. Okay. Part of it is why that's difficult. Both the shades still have their foam wrap at the moment, which I'll pull the black off now. I should have done that just before, but regardless, I did not want the shade unrolling in my face, and it may be hard to see, but my handbar is right where I need it. That's awesome. Okay, so we've got our second and our second column. We're just gonna link this because it's sitting in front of my face. But again, most important part here is going to be getting the shade seating right on this bracket, as well as the bracket mount seated into place, and just double checking that you may run into some play here. And what you just want to make sure is that your shades come down together, because there's a tiny bit of play in some of these enclosures. Not as much with the duals like this in the pocket, but I have seen it. Okay. So if you're having issues getting these to line up, they can be pretty frustrating. Just go ahead and get a deeper angle. And if your drill doesn't allow you to do that, or whatever screwdriver you're using, find one that will. Okay, so now I'm gonna leverage the fact that those are stuck together and get that all tucked up nice and out of the way. So just kind of doing a final check here to make sure that all of my wiring is safely away from the shade, considering I can't mount everything to the wood in the same way you guys saw me do with the Roller 64. But this looks good to go, man. And honestly, if you're installing these in the field, this is the wrong way. We're just following the guidelines and kind of doing a video. So what you'd like to do, in theory, is you see the buttons on the Blackout? You see where they are? That's impossible to see if the back of the frame's not open. So get your first shade in. Then go ahead and activate it. Set the limits on it, at least rough, make sure it's responding, then hang the lower shear. Because what's gonna happen now is I'm gonna be fighting this enclosure. Now, thankfully I can walk around given the status we're in, but just know that in a regular installation, don't follow those guidelines in real life. Go ahead and get your shade activated right away. Now I'm gonna get this wiring out of my way because it's driving me nuts. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is, for my own sanity, going to get these wires over to that side in a way that looks clean That'll just take me a minute or two. All right, so we will snip this, and all of our wiring infrastructure, including our power supplies, will be on the bottom of the box, just like we did before. All right, everyone, so now we're at the same stage we were on the other side when it was time to get to it and get this wireless and wired system finished. So the first thing I'm gonna do is make sure that I know which wires, which down here. They're labeled upstream. Again, it doesn't matter for this, but if you're doing a real Lutron house, it really does matter. You can always tone the wires afterwards, but that's a huge pain. So essentially, oh, we're missing our adapters for this. Here's our wireless modules. I thought I had all this staged. I apologize. There they are. Okay. So what we've got now is our two like splitters, and what's great about this is they've got their Phoenix for the other side of the wire there. You've really got to make sure that I'm coming out 4-wire from the shade, so I need to go into the 4-wire end and then out the splitter at the bottom. So roughly, I'm gonna cut the wire off here and junction it, probably about there. Then we'll have our wireless repeaters here, and then we're gonna have our 2 power modules there. Just trying to make it look good with what we have. Okay. So this is going to be the same process as the shades. 1 to 4, 1 being negative power, 2 being positive power, 3 being white comm, and 4 being the last color comm you have. Whether that's, in today's case, it's violet, it's a purple, but if you maybe aren't using Lutron on brand, or maybe using a competitor's cable like ICE or WirePath, the colors may vary, but they'll specify on the wire manufacturer will specify, but really, as long as you remember black, red, white, and whatever mystery color they chose. Same process as we did last time. Move that away a little bit. So we'll pull back the metal, what looks like tin foil, but is our wire shielding. We'll give that a couple twists so it's easy to cut off and doesn't fray, and we're not risking cutting our wires. And then again, once we're done with that, we'll just tuck our sink nicely around the bottom. Again, the sink is just that metal stranded wire that doesn't have an insulation. We'll get these stripped off. Remember, on Lutron 4.2, we've got a different gauge power cables than we do have comm cables. So do be wary that you don't cut the comm cables first, throw your power in there and strip off a bunch of copper unneededly. Okay, there's those guys. get our metal sink out of the picture here. Same thing. Make sure our sink's not spun up on our comm cables. Not a performance thing, just an aesthetics and look thing. Okay. All right. Lutron screwdriver. Again, 1-to-1 with the instructions. I'm going to take a second, get my sink wrapped up there. Then we'll take our Phoenix connector, and same as before, black and red to 1 and 2. Okay, 2's not loosened for some reason. Typically they come loosened, but who knows? Who knows what happens in the Phoenix factory? Okay, and then remember, white to 3, in this case violet, could be mystery color for you. Today we are using Lutron branded cable, so it is violet. Okay. Same thing, 4 is a little tight. You see your copper start to spread, pull it back out, make a good connection. Right. Checking every strand individually to make sure everything's snug, and then just kind of pinching that together so it doesn't look rancid. And same thing, all of these on this one seem to be loose. Take my sink, wrap it around the bottom, black, red, white, purple. All right, so we've got that done. So now it's pretty self-explanatory, right? We take the top one, and then we go ahead and label our junction. Get our other connector on. Label that one. For my sanity, we are going to tap these in now so that these, the wires were coiled up really tight in the package, so they're having a tendency to pull away from me that I'm really not fond of. So yeah, you guys see that? and give these guys just enough room to breathe. I actually want that a smidge higher. This sleeve is cut back just a little further back. On this one. Okay, cool. And you can see we could still adjust these. They're not pinching the wires. Okay guys, so essentially each one of these wireless comm receptors gets a wireless comm module, just like the Roller 64 we did, because this is a wireless system in its current configuration. And then we're going to go ahead and tack this down as well. So I want this looking clean. The wire management, a little unnecessary for the scope of what we're doing, but I want it to look like a professional did this. So that's how we're going to play it. Just being very careful not to pinch any of my wires here. Great. Okay, so the reason why I left this the way it was at the moment is because I need to deal with these guys now. And I don't have quite enough wiggle room to put them at the bottom. So probably do that. I think that'll look really good. Keep it all flush on the inside here. Okay. Yeah, and then what'll happen is my power wire jump here, I'll push these out a little bit. Maybe I'll loop into the middle. Yeah, I think I'm gonna like that, and then we'll just bring our power straight down the middle. All right guys, so just like before, there's little clips. That guy goes right on. 3M adhesive. Don't consider this your forever solution, installers. This is your temp mount solution. Okay. Get some firm pressure there, and then we'll take these antennas and mount them going down, and we should have a nice big channel for our power wires to follow in a moment. So we're going to go ahead and tack this up. Make sure that the drill's not pulling this thing out of level. Okay, really don't crank these down. They're plastic. Please. Oops. Okay. Yeah, guys, this is gonna look sweet. So then, to mimic this, right? Or is that the wrong way? No, that's the wrong way. How did I do that again? Okay, so I need the loop to come from the bottom in, then back out. Yes. All right, let's get our 3M sticky on here. Go ahead and pull that. Try and get it lined up the best we can with our other gentleman. Nice. So again, we'll tack those in, then we'll go ahead and clean up that wire right above it. that is a way too complicated wiring cleanup. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna take a break. I've got to take a couple progress pictures on this. As part of the actual certification pass off, but we'll be right back. We'll put in our shade tracks, and then we'll pair this to our Pico, and we'll let the shades rip. So we cleaned up a little bit. I apologize for the audio in the last segment. My main camera with the mic hookup cut out like 14 minutes into the 45-minute breakdown of all the wiring. So I apologize. You guys are gonna be watching from my back, probably in the time lapse now. But we went ahead, hung our two shades, wired them up, got this all cleaned up. You'll never see something like this. Just for this demo kit, everything is on display. It's not only a teaching guide, but kind of, just shows what work goes into the process. This would be in a rack room or hidden up in the balance. This is just going to be long-term a portable, little stand-up display. Eventually, this will be on display at our showroom or our storefront once we get there. Hopefully next year, guys, stay with me. We are crushing it in Colorado, and I cannot wait. We'll be bringing on new technicians soon. We've got crews we're putting together all over the state to bring faster service to everyone. So thanks for hanging with me, my OG customers that have been with me since I started in the trade. Can't thank you guys enough, as well as all the Dream Media family. So what I'll eventually do is have a technician, when it's their turn to train, I will build them this wood framing out of some really nice, clean, finished stained wood, and then we'll put this on display so that when you guys come to visit, you can walk around and see all the goodies that are in this. It's so rare, unless you're in a window, that you actually get to see these assemblies from the back and underneath like this in the way that you get underneath the back. Obviously, most of the shades you look at are from underneath. So anyway, what we're gonna do now, only thing I did off camera is get this extension cord over here for power. We're gonna go ahead and finish this out. So essentially what I've got here is my 2 tracks that we still need to pull our install plastic off of. Okay. And then we're gonna break down this install process step by step. I thought about bringing the camera around the back just for this first clip, but I don't think seeing is going to make it any easier. So if you guys recall, when we first started working on this dual roller install, sorry if you can hear me, we went and punched our mounting holes. These don't come with mounting holes for some reason. So essentially we took a 3/16 metal bit, sawed through, and then had to clean it out to make sure there were no metal shavings. Okay, so we've got our 2 side channels, and then we'll also have our front flap, what they call it. So essentially, what we got to do here, I'll narrate everything because it may be a little hard to see me. So I've got our shade in open position, right? So it's all the way up, and we're looking for a measurement from the front of it. This guy comes in here. There are side channel mounts, although that was not a part of this install. This install parameter today. There are side channels that you can set in that have to be compensated for at ordering the shade width. That will go ahead and close up the size, but again, you never have this type. And there we go. So we're closed up now. We've got our shear that falls just in front of our blackout trim. We've got our light gap eliminating shape. Lutron does recommend that technicians tape the front here with page tape where their holes are. I can tell where 2 inches is, and besides, I've still got to line it up with my eyes anyway. A little different with the 2-inch screw. So let's go ahead and try our blackout now. Look at that, guys. and there's no longer a light gap. So we'll do, I guess, a little recap here, the same little test that we did with our shear, where I take this really bright headlamp off my head. Okay, we're gonna shine that through the back here. You're gonna get, do I have the blackout up too? I just can't see the front well. Okay, yeah, so you guys see that? We're getting light shine through the sides as well as the back. Drop our blackout. And just watch this, like, all these light gaps. There it goes. Okay, it doesn't matter how bright the sun is, it's not bothering you in your movie. So that, specifically the blackout with the light gap, paired, you know, if it's a theater and it's not a room that you're using outside of a theater, you don't really need the dual roller in this application. You go with the smaller up front, the side channels. You also get the bottom channel there that eliminates light gap from the bottom where the handbar isn't completely touching the ground. So move that shear up and then look at this blackout. Guys, you might as well not have a window at this point. That's my favorite part of this because it actually solves the issue with wanting to control light gap the best out of any shade lineup I know of. Now, granted, the side tracks, your handbar is going to be running through this track, so it will add noise to the shade. And it's literally just the sound of the fabric brushing up against this mesh here, but it's nothing to be too concerned about. You know, if your issue is extreme light gap, a little bit of brush noise and the fabric moving isn't going to be your problem. Just check this out. I love this. Both options at all times. You're trying to get privacy sun filtering, or you're trying to get blackout, you got them. And again, so we installed this on a Pico system today, but my favorite is integrating these into a whole home greater control system with all your music, shades, lighting, other AV product, security cameras, intercom system, all integrated in a single app use. But today, I mean, we really tackled this. So yesterday, we built this frame, okay? And today, we started off with our Roller 64 install, which is not powered up, so I'm not gonna drop it. We're gonna do a recap video on the setup in which I will get power back to that shade and drop it. That's a sun shear with a light gap. And then we did a dual roller, okay? We've got a white blackout, which is dropping in the background now with the light gap seal. Is perfect for your movie theater, movie room, living room, anywhere where the sun bothers you. Maybe even your bedroom if you really like sleeping in, that's the way to go. And then we've got our lighter sun shear. And what's great about this, guys, is with that track in the back for the blackout, it gets rid of the issue of the gap on this shear, because you're not going to have direct light beam coming through here without passing through a light filtering fabric first. So just wanted to break down Lutron as hard as I could, not only for consumers, but for installers and technicians and people that are considering starting to work with Lutron shades themselves. So if you're getting into Lutron and you want to be certified in shades, you will have to do this as part of a training course. I went ahead and just knocked it all out because I've done this course before, but I do recommend following through the class. Joel at Lutron is one of the best at his job. He is an incredible educator. You will learn a ton from him. So listen to the lecture, take notes. Everything Joel says is gold. Joel, if you're watching this, thanks, man. So anyway, this is just a full breakdown of some of the shade solutions. Now I will be rebuilding this at some point once another technician needs to take the Lutron course, and I'll be doing this with fine lumber that's finished up, probably like a gunstock color, really nice, something we can show off, and then I'll have him install the product on this, and we'll be displaying this in our shop/showroom eventually for customers to play with, especially the wiring over here on the sides. So thanks for joining with me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this super long form video. You can knock this out in 20 minutes if you've done them before, especially these. You can knock these out in 5 to 10 minutes if you've done it. But I really wanted to take everything step by step, take it slow enough to the point where you could follow along at home if you want to, and just really break down every part of the process, as well as why these solutions work and when each one of these solutions might be the right option for you. So thank you guys for following me along. I appreciate you guys. If you guys are not subscribed, go ahead and smash that subscribe button for me. I've been on camera all day today. I'd appreciate it. Like the video. Sign up for notifications if you're liking the content. Can't thank you guys enough. We get to do what we love every day here at Dream Media, and it's just a blessing. So I'm so happy to share that with the internet and the world as a whole. If you need any smart home tech in Colorado, especially shading solutions, reach out to Dream Media today. Schedule your free video consultation. Let's dive in and bring that luxury lifestyle to your home today. Thanks, guys. Catch you next time.